he's kind enough to join us. So let's say hello to the one and only Robert Whittaker. Hello, Robert. How are you?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, really good, really good.
Great to see you. Great to talk to you. Congratulations on the win. And this time we don't have to bother you. It's not early morning where you are. It's actually early evening.
Yeah. It's night time. It's different. I'm still abroad. It's been lovely here. Been absolutely enjoying it. Still in holiday mode. So yeah, good timing.
Well, thank you for taking some time. I always feel guilty about these things, so thank you for taking some time out. What are you doing? Just traveling around Europe with the family? Did you bring the whole family, or is it just you and the wife? What are you doing?
No, I left some of the kids with the grandparents. That's why we were only coming to London for a few days just to see the sights and honestly just relax a little bit, kick my feet up before going back to the rest of the kids. Can't leave them too long because leaving that amount of kids with anyone's a bit crazy.
Yes. All right. Well, I hope you're enjoying it. What a night for you. What a fight. What an experience. By the way, could I ask you, I was asking Cyril this right before you came on. Were you expecting that? Like when you were offered this opportunity to fight on the first card in France, obviously it's a big deal. It's historic. It's memorable. But were you expecting a crowd like that, an atmosphere like that?
Yeah, definitely not. You know what? I was expecting an atmosphere that was roaring for blood. Like, there's one thing I know from many history books that the French love love their fighting. You know what I mean? And I truly expected them to really invite the UFC and invite combat into the country. But to what did blow me away was the amount of support and cheers that I got walking out, which was just mind blowing for me. It was like walking out back home, honestly.
Really? It was that close?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like, yeah, I can't explain it any more than that. Just they made it feel almost like home welcoming. It was when I was walking out, the crowd was just going off, and yeah, just a lot of love and support.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how knowledgeable they would be. I wasn't sure how into MMA they would be. I feel like that crowd, like you could put it up there with any crowd in the sport right now. That was one of the best crowds that we've ever seen. They were singing the national anthem during the main event. Did you see that? That was insane. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, they got really into it. Just like I guess like with European the soccer and
Yeah.
the football and everything, they just got into it, and I guess you can see that they just jumped into it like every one of their sports that they love supporting.
Can I ask you on Friday at the ceremonial weigh-ins? I have to say I didn't really love this. You guys do the little face-off thing. He sticks the hand out. He does the pull the hand back. You played it off well. You're a gentleman. You'll never make a scene. Considering the way you conduct yourself, it bothered me. I felt it was disrespectful. How did you feel internally when he did that?
Mate, I was filthy, absolutely filthy. It's it was just grubby. It was such a grubby thing to do. And like I understand where he's coming from. He just wants to try and get in my head a little bit because we've been so amicable up until then. He was just trying to throw anything out there in the wind to just try and ruffle the feathers. And my we knew it was coming. The coaches knew this was coming, but I want to say it didn't bother me. It bothered me. It really pissed me off. It was like because there's one thing not shaking hands. Understand that. You keep your hand to yourself. You do you, I'll do me. There's another thing tricking me, but putting the hand out and then
Yeah.
psyching me last minute. Oh, you don't do that, man. Like I don't know. It just seems like he broke like a solemn rule.
But you played it off well. Like you were just smiling. Internally, though, you were fuming.
Oh, I was filthy, mate. I was
Wow.
grubby move.
Wow. Did he say anything to you there? I feel like he did.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and that's why I was laughing because it was like 90s kickboxer. It was like he just come up to me like all serious and was like, "I'm gonna thrash you," and
Yeah.
it just made me laugh because I was thinking like, yeah, you know,
Did you say anything
like
back?
that's all good. No, I couldn't. I was
You
just
just,
laughing. But that's why I smiled. I wasn't laughing at it. Like I was just smiling because I found it funny. Because even, like I have all these conversations, man. I'm a big thinker, and I'm just thinking we're gonna fight tomorrow. I'll see you
right.
there.
Do you feel like his actions there in that moment kind of like gave you a little bit of a boost going into the fight? You're like, all right, now I need to smoke this guy. I need to kind of teach him a lesson.
Not at all. Not at all. I knew what I was going to do. I think my actions there made him worry, ruffled his feathers, if anything. He wanted a reaction out of me, but I know what I'm about to do. I know what I'm about, and yeah, we can be amicable. We can be friends, even. You know, they're not really friends, we're not friends, but we can be really cool. We can be professionals. We can, yeah, we can do the dance. But when the door shuts, when I'm put in the octagon, I change. Like the game face is on. You know, I'm fighting now.
Mm. Considering your last fight, fighting for the belt didn't go your way, did you feel any pressure? Like you had to prove a point here against Marvin? You had to prove that you're still, Robert Whittaker. Do you feel any of that? Do you think of any of that?
Oh, definitely. It's not so much the proving a point. I never feel like I need to prove a point because I give everything I have every fight, and that's the point I'm proving. And I can live with myself knowing I went out there and I did my best. Um, the thing that I constantly think about is I hate losing. I don't want to lose. I'm terrified of losing. Every athlete and every fighter does, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to be that guy that loses once and loses twice, and then has a rough tread that like they people after the second fight, people are like, "Oh, he's a wash up now," and like that gets to you. It does, and but not because they're saying it, but because they're already fears that I have constantly, self doubt and everything, and you got to just kind of work through that, and yeah, just root yourself in confidence and hard facts that this is what I do, and I'm the best at it.
Hate losing and terrified of losing to me are kind of two different things. When you say you're terrified of it, what do you mean by that?
Oh, it's just like I, honestly, I don't think it's any more or less than everybody else. The nerves, the
Yeah.
idea of losing, it's just that's what they just play on each other. You don't want to lose, and then you're nervous about performing because you don't want to lose,
Mm.
and then, it's an endless cycle, and it just eats up at you before fights, and it's so hard. This is literally just before walking out, obviously.
Wow.
The same pre-fight moves that everyone has. But yeah, that's just part of the gig.
Did you feel more nervous considering how the last fight went going into this one?
You're always a little bit nervous, I believe, after a loss because, mate, it's if it's the obvious thing to say, and it's very obvious when you think about it. And when you put it out words, it sounds stupid and obvious. But when you lose once, if you lose again, you've then lost twice,
Mm.
and that's two in a row.
Mm.
Okay, now there's a big difference to losing once to losing two in a row. It's a bit like, and you see, it makes it sound silly, but it's in our sport, in our career, when like losing two in a row is a super bad sign. Generally speaking, especially maybe it's the fear that's ingrained in you as you're going up through the ranks when you first get into the sport. It's like three and you're done. That's what you hear. Like three L's and you're over. So like that second one's always terrifying. And yeah, you don't want it to happen. After it's always harder after this, and everyone feels the same.
So I thought in the fight, personally, just watching it, like you proved once again, there's a massive gap between you and the rest of the contenders. Overall, like it was never in doubt a beautiful, vintage, virtuoso Robert Whittaker performance. But how would you assess your performance?
Um, I was very happy with some aspects. A lot of things surprised me, like with myself and how effective certain things that we trained for during the camp, how effective they were. It's obviously it's everybody trains for success, and we train for certain things to go a certain way. But what surprised me was just how well it went and how effective it was. And I guess I'm happy with my performance, not the entire performance. There are some things that changed in the first round, probably, but it's easy everything in hindsight, right? All we can do is work backwards now and then work on the next one.
What didn't you like about the first round?
I think I think it was a obviously it was a feeling out round.
Yeah.
Round. where I was finding the spacing and the distancing as well as assessing the pace. Opening up the lungs, assessing the pace. I feel like, and this is just personal, right? I feel like the first round was the first round of a five round fight. I feel like that round can be justified in a 5 round fight because it's everything you learn in that first round is so much more essential to know and impactful for the rest of the rounds. The other four wasn't a 5 round fight. I needed to make that assessment a little quicker to capitalize and really cement that first round, which I do believe I won still. But it's not good to let that. That's just how I feel about the pacing of the first one.
And you said surprise, like you mean you were surprised that things you guys worked on worked so well in the fight? And if so, what are you referring to?
Yeah, correct. Just like the step out 1-2s, they were like really effective, especially because we worked a lot on recognizing him coming in, trying to get that forward pressure, him cutting off the cage, just a lot of southpaw work, like things you need to work when fighting a southpaw. I worked those things, and they worked really effectively, almost to the T against Vettori.
Do you enjoy that kind of challenge of figuring out the southpaw puzzle, or do you prefer not to fight a southpaw?
It is what it is. You need to in our game. Honestly, I was surprised to see it as well. It was like almost like it was created that way. Every fight on the card, just about, was the southpaw
Huh.
versus unorthodox.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was. If you look back and look, it is.
Wow.
It was. I don't know if that was like a thing.
I didn't
But
even
it
notice
was cool.
that.
I think a lot of south. Yeah, I think a lot of southpaws are coming up through the ranks or in the game or coming up through the higher tiers and just poking their heads up everywhere because it seems like every second fighter now, especially on that card, was a southpaw. So it's super essential to be able to fight against them, obviously.
After the fight, Marvin said that he still feels like he'll be champion. Every fighter thinks that you've been in there with him. You've been in there with the best at 85. Do you think he has what it takes to be a champion?
Oh, definitely. I think and not like it, okay. Whilst I'm around, definitely not, right? Because yeah, what am I going to say?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, definitely not while I'm around. But I think he has something that is super. Why he's won so many of his fights. I said this in a lot of the interviews leading up to him. He has zero quit in him, and that'll take a guy very, very far. You've seen in a lot of his fights where he's fighting a dude that is flashier, more skillful, and more technical, but he doesn't give up, and then his opponent eventually does. And that's it's a dangerous trait to have, especially someone who's young enough like he is to continue learning and to continue growing. I'm not going to take anything away from him. Still don't think he beats me. No, definitely not now. But yeah, I think he's got a lot of potential still. I got it. Mate, that's a stitch of a question. What do you want?
I mean, listen, he said it, and I was one. Listen, he's a very emotional fighter as well, and sometimes, like early on in Michael Bisping's career, he was very emotional, and I felt like sometimes his emotions hindered his progress. And I felt like later in his career, when he stopped caring as much and got so riled up, you saw that he had success, right? Like going into the Rockhold fight, the second Rockhold fight, Bisping was like carefree. He was playing with the house's money, and Vettori last year or so, like when he fought Izzy, the stuff with you, he reminds me of early days Bisping. And so I hope for his sake, he can maybe drop some of that and just be a little more carefree going to these fights. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's much bigger than just him.
Mm,
I think that what you're saying is a concept and like something that a fighter needs to experience this throughout the years, and that just comes with like tenure, just the amount of time. And I had to reach that point and get to a point where I just didn't care as much. And like, there's not caring, and then there's not caring. You know what
right,
I'm
right, right.
talking about? But yeah, just doing me and being confident in the fact that I'm doing what I want to do. You
Right.
know.
You also said afterwards, most dangerous man in the division. This got people riled up. And I'm wondering if that's exactly like the way we interpreted it. Was it the way you meant it to be interpreted? Like, you still believe you're the most dangerous man in the division because obviously the naysayers will be like, wait a second, there's Izzy out there.
Yeah, but I'm the most dangerous man in the division. Izzy's, I don't know, he's a champion of the division. He beat me last fight as well. He's a great fighter. I've said this before, but I'm the most dangerous man in the division. That's why, like, I can beat anyone in the division. That last fight, I got so against Israel. That is, I got within a hair's breadth of taking everything away from him, and just the fights that I've been in and the opponents that I've had, I'm not just beating them. I'm flogging them. There's a difference in that. It's I'm hurting these guys, and that's what makes me so dangerous. Is because I don't just come to the fight to win. I come to break my opponents. And I'm not a big talker or anything, but that's mentality wise. That's what I do when I go in there. I don't go in there expecting to leave there. Well, when I get asked a lot of questions like, "Are you still hungry?" Or when Vettori was mentioning in his interviews, like, "I'm hungrier than he is," like, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't bother me. I know I know what I'm doing. But when I get into that octagon, I don't expect to leave it ever.
Wow.
Because that's all. That's why a lot of the injuries I have when I leave the octagon is because I've done them to myself. Like, I've been throwing too many kicks or just been throwing too many punches with reckless abandon. It's just how it is.
So, like, when you compare that mentality and then you compare it to the Izzy Cannonier fight, like, how would you assess what you're seeing out of Israel now?
The Israel's fighting the exact same way he has always fought. He's like a picture perfect defensive striker that uses his physical attributes perfectly with the way he fights. The only difference now is that he's fighting much higher quality guys, and they're a bit harder to stop. A bit harder to go away. Bit tougher. It's he's always fought that way. He's always fought defensively safe, and he gets the W. That's, I guess, that's what we want.
Is that a bad thing? Like, do you not like that style, or is there something to be said for that style because, hey, maybe you don't get banged up as much, you don't get injured as much?
Like, I don't like that style because it's a pain in the ass to fight against.
Right.
That's a tricky question to answer there.
Right. I get it. As a fan, though, do you like that style?
Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, like it makes it's not exactly that style. Not exactly that style. I like the way Cyril Gane fights.
Okay.
I like that style. Like, he can be elusive when he wants to, but then he can come in and he can hurt you. He wants to. It's like, I like the balance. I like the balance. I like to think. I like my style more or less.
Yeah.
I'm not. I like my style. Like, I like being hard to hit, but I also like having the ability to hit you when I want to.
I loved your line about making people hate fighting. What a line that was. You make fighters hate fighting. That's crazy. Tremendous line.
I like, yeah, because when you see the fights, when we're in the fights, it's not fun for them. It's not fun. The threat, the danger of getting hit, and the threat is always there. And I'm always hitting you, and the punches aren't soft. I'm not pitter pattering you. I'm like trying to hurt you. And it's not like I'm trying to just hit you and go away. No, I'm just like, every shot hurts because I'm hitting. Because I'm pretty accurate with my strikes. Like, I'm aiming for eyes, I'm aiming for jaws, I'm aiming for noses. Yeah, it's not fun, right? Shoot.
By the way, one last thing on Izzy. You think he beats Alex in November?
If I was betting, I'd have to bet on Israel.
Yeah.
Because I think in an offensive defensive sort of matchup, the defensive striker generally would have to be the favorite, especially when they're both physically very tall, very long, and just the way they fight. Alex is very upright. Izzy's quite longer, very lean back. But in saying that, it's hard to know how the small gloves are going to affect both guys getting hit because Alex has longer arms and he's going to be obviously leg chopping a lot more because of the kickboxing background. And Israel's more open to leg kicks since he's adjusted to his MMA style. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting fight. Very interesting fight.
Did you mind that Marvin took the microphone first?
I didn't notice. I got asked before. I didn't even notice.
Okay, you didn't notice what you were just in the moment.
I was just chilling. I wasn't talking to someone.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to those things too much.
I know you're not, obviously not the big call out type, but have you given any thought to what the next step is? Because you're now in a really interesting spot, considering your history with Izzy. Have you thought about this at all a little more since Saturday?
I'm hunting that title shot. That's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm always going to be doing because that's the only up direction. That's what I'm a fiend for progress. I just want to move forward. I want to move up, and whoever's got that C above me, whoever's above me in the rankings is my next target. Obviously,
is 205 or 70 an option for you?
70 is definitely an option. Let's kill it right here,
please.
For finals, right? 170 is never an option ever again.
Hello. How are you? What?
Boy.
I like how you said you brought the youngest one with you.
Yeah, I brought the youngest one with me. Yeah.
God bless.
I thought I was asleep. Sorry, mate.
No, it's all good.
But 170 is never happening. I'm too big now. Like, that's why I tell people if I ever make the move to 190, that's when my career will end because when you have to do it properly. I'm not tall enough to muck around like that to just dabble. So I'd have to completely get bigger, stronger, adjust to the speed and the timing and everything as well. So but then 170 will never happen again unless I'm dead.
Okay,
so that's gone.
What about 205?
205, I have a good feeling that that's where my career will end.
Wow.
Because I think there will be a point when I don't want to skip dinner anymore.
Right.
And I just want to become a big boy, lift weights. And like I said, I'm not going to be mucking around. I'm going to just probably make the move for better or worse. And then that's it.
How close are we to that?
It's hard to say because I'm doing really well at 185.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It depends on I think I know I have one more shot against Izzy if that's where it is, or if he gets dethroned, I definitely have another shot of gold. I think getting that third fight with Israel will be a deciding point for that, or the whoever else that is.
You feel in your heart there will be a third fight with him somewhere down the line.
Oh, definitely. It'd be silly not to because there is. I'm just running through everybody else, and especially the way the second fight left off. That was I'd have to have come the closest since he's gotten the title, taking it back off him.
Do you think you won that fight?
Well, yes, at the time, but obviously I did not.
Right.
And I still that's how I felt at the time. But the hard truth is I didn't. So it doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there. But I do know that it was a very close fight and it could have gone either way.
I threw out at the beginning of the show, maybe you versus Paulo Costa next. Do you like that?
It's not the next title shot. But,
right.
I do want a title shot. I do want to aim for the goal. But if the timing's right and I'm ready to fight, I'll fight him. I always have. I always have. I've never picked my opponents. I've never played that game with the rankings in the division. So I'm in the fight game.
And when would you like to return? I think there's some talk of maybe Australia in like first quarter of 2023. Are you hearing any of this? This is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that's the rumors, and that's And it makes perfect sense for me, fight in the backyard, first quarter of next year. That's a good timeline really as well, because broke a couple of my toes last fight. So I've got to go, patch them up. Then it's Christmas and stuff. I don't really I camped through Christmas last year. Wouldn't mind not doing that this time.
Paulo Costa's a crazy guy. You see this guy on social media? You follow him?
Nah,
You're not
not a fan.
You're not a big Paulo Costa fan?
No, it's not that I'm not a fan. I don't care enough. It's yeah, I just want to just do my thing. Just want to do my thing.
You just can't be bothered with any of this.
Especially if they're other middleweights. I don't want to see Paulo Costa having a good time or eating good food or doing whatever he's doing. I don't care what he's doing. We have to fight one day. I don't want to humanize him.
That's fair. Last thing, speaking of good food, did you have I saw after the weigh-ins you had the plate with the croissant. Did you have a chance to have the good food in France?
Mate, I haven't stopped eating. It is. You ever eat so much that your breath is shorter?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I am struggling to breathe. The bread in France was phenomenal. Like, bread there was next level, and bread came with everything as well. It was unreal. But I haven't stopped eating, especially pastries. I'm really into pastries right now. I'm looking for apple pies everywhere I can.
Wow. Did you have an eclair over there? The eclairs are fantastic.
I'm not a big fan.
What?
My wife got one and I bit into some, and I was like, no, I'm more of an apple pie guy. I like apple pies.
Okay.
I really hit the apple pies quite hard.
And the croissants are next level. It's like you could get a croissant, wherever you live, but you go there and it's just, there's something about it. It like melts, right?
Well, okay, so this is my thing, and I may make a lot of people angry.
Oh.
The croissants are good, but I think it's less about the croissants and more about just the quality of their like bread pastry goods.
Wow.
Right? I think it's not just this thing is better than everywhere else. I think it's just an overall quality thing with the breads, because the bread there, like, just any meal you get a salad, the bread that comes with it will blow your mind. Like, the bread over there was just phenomenal. And yeah, I thought the croissants were good, just but all the bread was good. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
These are some real hot takes from Robert on the cuisine in France.
Yeah, just being real. Talking real stuff.
That's what we expect and appreciate from you, and it's all well deserved. I hope you've eaten yourself into a coma. You'll have a nice long flight back home to Australia. Another great performance, my friend. Congratulations. Well done. Looking forward to what's next for you. And as always, handled it with class. I was upset on your behalf with the whole handshake thing. So I'm happy to hear that at least deep down you were upset as well, but you handled it like a pro as always. So well done to you.
Thank you very much, mate. It's always good to have a chat with you.
Anytime. Thank you. Same here. Appreciate it, Robert. Safe travels back home. Thanks so much for doing this. There he is, the one and only Robert Whittaker. Always kind to join us. Always a pleasure to talk to. One of New York Rick's favorite guests in the history of the program. He has told me this. What a lovely guy. And